Sarimosa, what you do is to give us Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. Report of the Senate Committee on Finance on the Nigerian Tax Reform Bills 2025. The Senate at its plenary on Thursday, 28 November 2024, read for the second time the 4 bills presented by Mr. President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and referred same to the Committee on Finance for further legislative actions. The background of the bill is that Nigerian tax reform bills is aimed to modernize the country's tax framework in line with global best practices, enhance revenue generation, and improve ease of compliance. The reforms are driven by the need to address structural inefficiencies, broaden the tax base, and align fiscal policies with economic realities. Anchored on international reporting standards such as the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, Base Erosion and Profit Shifting Framework, the International Monetary Fund, Tax Policy Recommendations, and the World Bank Ease of Paying Taxes Index, these bills seek to streamline tax administration, reduce leakages, and promote transparency. Key reforms include digitalization of tax system, rationalization of multiple taxation, and the introduction of incentives to boost investment. These legislative changes are part of the broader fiscal strategy to improve tax to GDP ratio, reduce over-reliance on oil revenue, and create a more competitive business environment. The reform also align with Finance Act enacted since 2019, ensuring a progressive tax system that fosters economic growth while meeting global compliance standards. The 4 bills are the Joint Revenue Board Bill 2025, SB 583, the Nigerian Revenue Services Establishment Bill 2025, SB 584, the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill 2025, SB 585, and the Nigerian Tax Bill 2025, SB 586. All the members attended the committee public hearing and the committee retreat, which took us about 5 days. And based on that, we engaged consultants who have also worked on these reform bills, and also added to it all the affected acts and subsidiary legislations, which you can see at 40 in page 6, from capital gain tax to Casino Act case, company income taxes, personal income taxes, industrial development income taxes, stamp duties, value-added tax, venture capital, petroleum profit, customs and excise, NIDA, National Lottery, Third Fund, Oil and Gas, Petroleum Industry Act 2021, in the Nigerian Startup Act, the company's income tax, etc., and the presidential orders of Mr. President were all duly studied, considered, and acted upon. Highlights of the tax reform bills: there are the Joint Revenue Board Bill, which the objectives was to enhance coordination, harmonization, optimization of revenue collection, reduction of revenue leakages, elimination of overlapping tax jurisdiction, capacity building, and transparency. The Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill was also to improve revenue collection efficiency, enhance taxpayer compliance, combating tax evasion and corruption, increase national revenue, creating more predictable and stable revenue environment, promoting fiscal sustainability. The Nigerian Tax Administration Bill objective was for simplification and consolidation, enhance efficiency through digitalization, strengthening taxpayer rights and obligations, and improve revenue mobilization. Was primarily to enhance revenue, tax harmonization and simplification, improve tax compliance, promoting investment and economic growth, aligning with international best practices, and addressing tax evasion and avoidance. The methodology was interaction with various stakeholders, which I have highlighted earlier. We invited so many at the public hearing, almost about 64 organizations, CSOs attended, and this bill was widely circulated among all these stakeholders. The findings on the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Board, which we considered were Clause 1, objectives of the Nigerian Revenue Service was amended. Functions of the service, Clause 4 of the bill was amended. Assistance in tax collection, Clause 5 of the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill was amended. Composition of the governing board, Clause 7 was amended. Powers of the board, Clause 7 was amended. Funding Clause 22, which provides funding through the services cost of collection, was amended. Audit of accounts, Clause 25 of the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2025 provides that the accounts of the service must be audited not later than 6 months after the end of the preceding year. This timeline is considered too long, as the report will be required for planning and consolidation. So that was also considered. Findings of the Nigerian Tax Bill, change of VAT distribution formula, proposed tax bill 6 to change the horizontal VAT distribution. Derivation was also taken care of. There is no interpretation in the definition of the term derivation in the clause 77 of the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill. That was also considered and a definition was given to it. The use of the term is ambiguous and susceptible to manipulation and possible challenges at the stage of implementation. Harmonization of the offenses penalties of the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill was also harmonized. Clause 100, failure to register; 101, failure to file returns; 102, failure to keep books; 107, failure to remit tax deducted as source or self-account were also amended. Clause 104, 108, 121, 122, which deals with failure. Tinubu, representing Niger East Senatorial District. Report of the Senate Committee on Finance on the Nigerian Tax Reform Bills 2025. The Senate at its plenary on Thursday, 28 November 2024, read for the second time the 4 bills presented by Mr. President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and referred same to the Committee on Finance for further legislative actions. The background of the bill is that Nigerian tax reform bills is aimed to modernize the country's tax framework in line with global best practices, enhance revenue generation, and improve ease of compliance. The reforms are driven by the need to address structural inefficiencies, broaden the tax base, and align fiscal policies with economic realities. Anchored on international reporting standards such as the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, Base Erosion and Profit Shifting Framework, the International Monetary Fund, Tax Policy Recommendations, and the World Bank Ease of Paying Taxes Index, this bill seeks to streamline tax administration, reduce leakages, and promote transparency. Key reforms include digitalization of tax system, rationalization of multiple taxation, and the introduction of incentives to boost investments. These legislative changes are part of the broader fiscal strategy to improve tax to GDP ratio, reduce over-reliance on oil revenue, and create a more competitive business environment. The reform also align with Finance Act enacted since 2019. ensuring a progressive tax system and that fosters economic growth while meeting global compliance standards. The 4 bills are the Joint Revenue Board Bill 2025, SB 583, the Nigerian Revenue Services Establishment Bill 2025, SB 584, the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill 2025, SB 585, and the Nigerian Tax Bill 2025, SB 586. All the members attended the committee public hearing and the committee retreat, which took us about 5 days. And based on that, we engaged consultants who have also worked on these reform bills, and also added to it all the affected acts in the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill 2025, SB 583. The new insertion in Clause 25 is as follows. The Tax Appeal Tribunal shall be funded through the Consolidated Revenue Fund as may be appropriated by the National Assembly towards the execution of its functions. The changes in Clause 26 provide clearer, more structured and professional qualification standard for tax appeal commissioners, promoting efficiency and credibility in tax disputes. Clause 30, jurisdiction of the tribunal. The Act expands the tribunal jurisdiction to cover all federal and state tax laws and to amend to restrict only to tax disputes and not controversies. The committee amended Clause 31. Tax appeal commissioners shall be paid salaries and allowances to be determined by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Committee also recommended Clause 44, that is to create the office of the Tax Ombudsman, who shall be funded from the Consolidated Revenue Fund as may be appropriated by the National Assembly. This is being done into providing funds for operations. The committee to also recommend 3% to be approved as the service cost of collection for the Nigerian Revenue Services. The committee amended Clause 51 as follows, except as otherwise. I go back to the 3% because before it was 4%, which does not include the oil, was non-oil revenue. But with the amendment that has been done, so the committee amended 51, except otherwise provided under this Act. Any other law or any enabling agreement or arrangement as otherwise authorized by the board or the executive secretary, any person who discloses institutional information, communication, document, or internal conviction, he is going to be subjected to conviction or a fine to the tune of 5 million. Recommendation on revenue service. The objective of the bill should be amended, which we did, to provide for legal, institutional, and regulatory framework for the administration of taxes and revenue accruable to government of the Federation as prescribed by the National Assembly. What we did, we amended Clause 5. Functions of the revenue service should be amended as follows. Assessed persons, including corporations, companies, and individuals, be in collaboration with the relevant ministries and agencies, subject to the approval of the Senate, review the tax regimes and promote use of taxation to develop, stimulate the growth of economic activities. Adopt measures to identify, trace, freeze, confiscate, or seize proceeds derived from tax fraud and evasion in line with the provisions of this bill and in line with international best practices. Clause 7 of the Revenue Service Act should be amended also. We seek to amend the chairman of the board we seek to amend that there should be a chairman of the board who shall be either the president or someone appointed by the president. So we now deliberated at our closed session, and we all agreed that we should have Mr. President to appoint a chairman for the board who is a non-executive chairman. And then there will be executive vice chairman who shall be the head of the revenue and subject to the confirmation of the Senate. Clause 13.2 of the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2025 should be amended also, that the secretary shall be a lawyer or a chartered accountant, or a chartered secretary who shall not be less than the rank of a deputy director. Executive directors should be appointed by the president to the board. We propose that the relevant clause should be amended that the president shall appoint executive directors for the service, each representing a geopolitical zone on rotational basis among the states in the zone, alphabetically or otherwise, depending on what Senate has agreed. And an executive director shall not come from the same state. That is the executive chairman and an executive director who will be heading one of the directing directorates. The timeline of reporting was also reduced from 6 to 3 months after the end of the year. Recommendation on the tax administration bill, which is one of the areas that have generated a lot of controversies. We have addressed that, and what we did with that recommendation is that the federal government will be taking 10% from the VAT distribution. We did not amend the present VAT structure. We left it at 7.5% instead of increasing it as was recommended. So in that structure, we said 10% of that collection will be for the federal government, 55% of that collection will go to the state government and the federal capital territory, and 35% to the local governments. The amount of VAT revenue standing in the credit of states and local governments shall be distributed among them on the following basis. We recommended that A, state governments will have 1, equality, which will carry 50% of that, population carry 20% with that, and place of consumption carry 30%. This is something that we deliberated with stakeholders, with the forum of subnational governments, that's the forum of governors. We have discussed this with ulamas and everyone, and we agreed. The only area that we also felt is necessary to address was how the local government's own will be shared. And on the local government, we said they share it among the local governments on equality, and then on their population 30%, and we stop there. Then we now change the word derivation to the place of consumption, which is the best because every VAT is a product of consumption. So we now said derivation to be replaced with consumption, place of consumption, to provide clarity. And we also provide for penalties for the following offenses, which are like clause 100, failure to register. If anybody fails to register for VAT, when you're supposed to have services and pay those VATs, they said 100, you will see it it's there in the bill. All the clauses that have been touched. Another area is in the Nigerian Tax Bill 586. The recommendation we made is on the development levy. We retain the funding of TED Fund, NASENI, NIDA, and NEL Fund, and also we now brought the cyber security. Because today, if you see how people are losing their money through the use of technology, we felt it's necessary to bring this to fore. And what we did with the development levy is that the tertiary education fund will now have 50%. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund will have 15%. National Information Technology Development Fund will have 10%. National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure will have 10%. National Cyber Security Funds will have 5%. And defense security, because we felt it necessary that the security of this country cannot be compromised. And hence, with the wisdom of Mr. President, we felt it's necessary to include defense security funds for 10%. We retained the VAT at 7.5. Company income tax, we didn't reduce it, and we didn't increase it. We left it at 30%. Clause 157 to 16 which provide for excise duty, which I have said earlier, we have deleted it. The provisions of BIA remained. They are excellent laws. So those areas that we deleted, I have mentioned. That the Senate, thereby having carefully considered the above, the committee hereby recommends as follows, that the Senate do consider, pass the following bills: Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill 2025, Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2025, Nigerian Tax Administration Bill 2025, Nigerian Tax Bill 2025. In conclusion, the committee wish to thank Mr. President of the Senate and Chairman of the National Assembly. We also want to thank the leadership of the Senate, members of the committee, and all the senators for all the contributions they have made. For the first time, this committee had a retreat with over 62 senators in attendance. And all the days, we have never had anything less than 46 sitting. That shows you the importance of this. We thank the staffs of the Secretariat who works assiduously to ensure the timely completion of this report. I so submit, Mr. President.
Thank you. I went home and studied overnight. And during our closed session, they made very useful contributions. So it's very clear now that the entirety of the laws are embedded in our bosom. And we are ready to go into action. Is there anybody who would like to make comments before I call on the... No comment. The Senate Leader, you may now move that we go into closed session.
Your Excellency.
Into Committee of the Whole to consider.
Mr. President.
Report on the Elders Council and their intervention. When the bills came, they generated a lot of furor. So the Senate, in its wisdom, had to set up the wisest of its men to go into the bills, study them, and bring out areas of possible conflicts for the benefit of all Nigerians. And at the end of it, they now submitted their report to the Committee on Finance for deliberation. And I want to know whether they are well captured, and we are now ready to pass the submissions, all encompassing, for the benefit of Nigerians now and in the future. Senator Yaya, our leader.
My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I am Yaya Abdullahi representing Kebbi North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you recall that at its plenary held on 3rd December 2024, the Senate set up an ad hoc committee to interface with the executive arm of government, including the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, with a view to resolve the issues that arose in the course of legislative processing of the Tax Reform Bills 2024. The Senate will recall that in the wake of Mr. President's submission of the bill to the legislature on 3rd October 2024, some political and revenue sharing controversies arose. In the opinion of the Senate, these need to be understood and resolved before legislative consideration and processing of the bills progress beyond second reading. The members of the committee, I hope members have the citizens have the copy of the report. They are there in paragraph 2. The methodology that we adopted is there in paragraph 3, which included interaction with the Attorney General of the Federation, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice, Executive Chairman, Federal Revenue Service, Executive Chairman, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, and also the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. This provided opportunity for face-to-face discussions on the contentious issues and controversial issues that were contained in the bills. So paragraph 4, we presented our findings and recommendations on all the issues, and this included issue of harmonization of multiple taxes to a few that are simple and broad-based, unification of the revenue collection function, modernization and simplification of revenue administration, leveraging on the use of digital technology, the use of data and intelligence to curb evasion and tax avoidance, and removing tax provisions that are inimical to business and economic growth. These are the objectives of the reform bills. Now, we presented the bills, the 4 bills that were considered, and we made recommendations. Now, like I remarked, and also Senator Aleru and the chairman of the ad hoc committee, Abba Moro, also looked at, we made our recommendations regarding each of the bills, which you can see from page 4, page 5, page 6, and identifying the various areas that we think need the consideration or need concern of this distinguished chamber. Now, in the process of having all of us, most of us actually being members of the Committee on Finance, we very closely interacted with the chairman of the Committee on Finance. In fact, during the consideration of all the meetings that we had with the Committee on Finance to consider these bills, the chairman of the committee and his deputy, who is one of our leader, deputy minority leader, we were very close together, so that whatever issues that I highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I am Yahya Abdullahi representing Kebbi North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you recall that at its plenary held on 3rd December 2024, the Senate set up an ad hoc committee to interface with the executive arm of government, including the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, with a view to resolve the issues that arose in the course of legislative processing of the Tax Reform Bills 2024. The Senate will recall that in the wake of Mr. President's submission of the bill to the legislature on 3rd October 2024, some political and revenue sharing controversies arose. In the opinion of the Senate, these need to be understood and resolved before legislative consideration and processing of the bills progress beyond second reading. The members of the committee, I hope members have have the copy of the report. They are there in paragraph 2. The methodology that we adopted is there in paragraph 3, which included interaction with the Attorney General of the Federation, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice, Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Executive Chairman, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, and also the Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. This provided opportunity for face-to-face discussions on the contentious issues and controversial issues that were contained in the bills. So paragraph 4, we presented our findings and recommendations on all the issues, and this included issue of harmonization of multiple taxes.
From your report, independently, the Elders Council took into account all the contentious areas and then summarized them and presented to the main finance committee, and they have all now been incorporated. So we can say to a large extent, over 95%, that we are now ready to go with the tax bills. It still does not stop any senator from raising any issue on any clause as we proceed. But I want to thank you and thank all our members. In fact, particularly the distinguished senators for their patriotism. I was thinking that Senator Wadada just came in now, fresh. He should give us an opportunity to continue the discussion. Senator Wadada, you just arrived, right? Thank you for the opportunity of not disrupting the session. So I want to say that I'm happy with the processes that we have taken. And this is, like I said, we are doing this for Nigeria. Some of these laws date back to 1901, before 1950, some before 1960, and they were never reviewed. And some have become very anachronistic. The Stamp Duties Act, some of them were in the 1930s. So now that we are bringing this, harmonizing them, reviewing them to meet with modern realities, I believe strongly that Nigerians should be happy that yes, they have a very responsible Senate, they have a responsible National Assembly. Even as we proceed today, if there are still any areas, we will set up a conference committee to meet with the House of Representatives and then ensure that everything is smooth before we present to Mr. President for assent. Deputy Senate President.
Congratulate the entire Senate, and in particular the Committee on Finance and the Elders Committee for the wisdom and leadership that have been exhibited so far in dealing with these bills. Initially, there were, disagreements. There were rancors here and there. But the Senate, standing on its position as the highest assembly in the land, decided to establish this committee of elders, to look at all those areas of contention. Look at all of them and hear the views of religious leaders, regional organizations, and what have you. Excuse me. To look at all these issues. Now, thank God, the committee also in its wisdom had a very robust public hearing and got to where we are now. And thank God all these areas have been, resolved. That's why this is the beauty of democracy. This is the beauty of democracy. And I'm proud to be a member of the Senate for the maturity exhibited in dealing with this matter. Now today, we are all on the same pedestal, agreed on this issue. Religious leaders and everybody, all those, NGOs and what have you, Governors Forum and the rest. And now we're on the same page. The same page. I congratulate all of us, particularly the Elders Committee. You've done a wonderful job. We are proud of you. And Mr. President, we're also proud of you, proud of the leadership for exhibiting the wisdom to set up this committee in the first place. So now we are going to deal with the clause by clause. We are going to the clause by clause stage of looking at the bill. And I'm sure there won't be any rancor because we are all on the same page.
Only one correction from what you said. It wasn't you don't call it Elders Committee. It was a special committee of the Senate.
It's a special committee.
Because there are people that are, otherwise if you say Elders Committee, Elders Committee, Senator Fadahonsi will ask you, am I not an elder?
Sorry, I withdraw that. Okay, that's your...
Special committee.
I withdraw that.
Special committee.
I withdraw that. A special committee.
Special committee of the
Special
Senate.
committee.
Yes.
So I withdraw that. Special committee.
Thank you.
So you've done us proud. We are proud of you. And I congratulate everybody. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader of the Senate.
Into Committee of O to consider this report clause by clause. I so move.
As well as the Committee on Finance. A motion has now been moved that we now resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider the tax reform bills for Nigeria, clause by clause. Those in support of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We resolve it to committee. Service Establishment Bill 2025, SB 584. Those in support of the long title on page 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the 43 clauses in the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The 43 clauses. Don't worry. Let's leave out the clauses. Let's go into clause by clause. Okay, so I take clauses 1 to 10. Any objection? Well, you have any objection in clauses 1 to 5? Anybody? Those in support of clauses 1 to 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have clauses 6 to 10. Those in support of 6 to 10 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 20. Those in support of clauses 11 to 20 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 21 clauses 21 to 30. No, distinguished Senator Tambua.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, I have an observation on clause 22, fund of the service. There is established for the service a fund which shall consist of and to which shall be credited A, 3% of the total revenue collected by the service which may be appropriated by the National Assembly subject to review as the economic situation may require. Mr. President, I have concern about appropriation being may. We shall appropriate these funds. It's not may, Mr. President, I so observe.
Adeola Solomon Olamilekan, I rise to second the motion as moved by Senator Aminu Tambo. I so second. That the word be changed from may to shall.
Okay, so
Percentage shall be determined by the National Assembly of the total revenue collected by the service, which shall be appropriated by the National Assembly for capital and recurrent expenditure of the service.
okay, the correction is like this. And by the National Assembly of the total revenue collected by the service, which shall.
Yeah, shall.
Because the operative word in contention is may, which shall be appropriated by the National Assembly for the capital and recurrent expenditures of the service. So in other words, that percentage,
So let's put the percentage after the review. review of the percentage.
Your Excellency.
Is the entire clause that is subject to review from time to time. Subject to review of the percentage.
Is that this one seems to say 3% simplicity. No. We are saying
now
we are not
subject to review.
No, we are
not talking so that nobody will come tomorrow and say, "Oh, you are talking about the review of the entire clause." Subject of the review of the percentage.
Okay, so redraft it. Let us see.
Yes.
Redraft what you are saying.
Yes.
Redraft it. Read the whole sentence and redraft. Use your mic.
3% of the total revenue collected by the service, which shall be appropriated by the National Assembly, subject to the review of the percentage as the economic situation may require. Well, the legal department can.
What the DSP is proposing, Senator Wadada, you just came now. Allow those who were here to talk. Okay, if you have the understanding of the subject matter, go ahead and contribute.
Distinguished colleagues, on the same item A, mine is on the percentage. 1% is the most acceptable and implementable or implemented. Excuse me, I have the floor. Would you listen to me to the end? Jimo Ibrahim, this is not capital market. Shut up and behave.
I know.
I apologize.
Senator,
I apologize, but behave yourself.
Senator Jimo Ibrahim, even the use of the language, Wadada knows that he was about to face punishment. So I'm sure he's going to apologize.
I apologize.
Wadada.
I sincerely do.
No, withdraw the language and then apologize.
I said I apologize.
No, I didn't say what you said. I said withdraw.
It is withdrawn, but next time don't interfere that way.
Okay. So
it is
withdrawal and apology hereby accepted.
Okay. What I was saying, Mr. President, is that 1% is the international accepted.
No, sorry, we are not redrafting the bill. We are doing clause by clause constitution. So listen to this. What is recommended by all is that 3% of the total revenue collected by the service, which we have now corrected to shall, which shall be appropriated by the National Assembly, because here what they had was may. In other words, they can spend the 3% without appropriation. But we are now saying shall. Shall is compulsory. Which shall be appropriated by the National Assembly, subject to the review of the percentage from time to time, depending on the economic situation or as the economic situation requires.
I understand that. What I'm saying is ours should be
and note, what is currently being collected is 4%. So they say
but oil is inclusive here. Since oil is inclusive, that's why I am saying ours being transitional for now should be 2%. 2% instead of.
Okay. Though you are this Senator Wadada. The Senator Wadada. Look at your order paper. Your Senate standing orders 2023 as amended. Open to Order 84-2. No, use your microphone.
84.2 says no amendment shall be moved which is inconsistent with any vote already agreed upon or any decision already come to by the committee, and the chairman may at any time during the discussion of a proposed amendment withdraw it from the consideration of the committee if in his opinion the discussion shall have shown that the amendment violates the provisions of this rule. So then we must.
So what it means is that the committee had agreed no further amendment can be carried out.
So why are you changing may to shall? That's it. That's it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're contradicting ourselves then.
Distinguished Senator Wadada, I am changing shall to and moving may because I was here before you. So I'm more conversant with the subject matter. And then if you wish to proceed further than where the rule tells you, come by way of motion so that we will debate it here and then we will agree. So your objection is ruled out of order. Those in support that 3% of the total revenue collected by the service shall be appropriated by the National Assembly. Any seconder to the proposed amendment that we shall, of the word shall and present? Yes, Senator Wadada.
This time, I am not on the may or shall order. I mean, words. What I am.
But you are still on section 22.
Yeah, the same on the same section, but what I have is I will want us to invoke section 1B of our standing orders of the Senate 2023 as amended.
Read section 1B.
Now 1B. One B says, in all cases not provided for in this standing order or by seasonal or other orders or practice of the Senate shall by resolution regulate its procedures. And by this, I am calling on the President to allow me propose an amendment from 3% to 2% because the subject matter is all encompassing. It involves both oil and non-oil revenue. and what will be accrued to the coffers will be more than the budget of 15, 16, 17 states of the Federation. So for that, let's reduce it to 2%.
Any seconder? Yes, Senator Hanga.
For amendment of this section, ably moved by my brother, Senator Odada. I so second.
The first is those in favor that we utilize the section 1B of our standing rules in order to allow for amendment of the proposal here, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The second leg is that the motion has been proposed and seconded, that we review the percentage from 3% to 2% in view of the fact that the entirety of the revenue are now consolidated, both oil and non-oil. Those in support that we review from 3% to 2% say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we proceed. 2% of the total revenue collected by the service, which shall be appropriated by the National Assembly subject to the review of the percentages as the economic situation may require. Those in support of this amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes. So we are clauses 11, no, clauses 21 to 30 as amended. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause. Yes.
Mr. We discussed this on the question of either executive chairman, executive vice chairman, or managing director. So I think we should note wherever we come across this, when we say executive director, we are talking about the executive vice chairman.
So propose.
Sir, what I'm saying
is...
which
clause?
30.
Okay.
Yes.
We are on clause 30.
So I'm saying we should note that wherever we come across this executive chairman, it is...
Chairman of Finance, I thought you should be very interested in what we are doing here.
The deputy leader is the one obstructing me here, sir.
What is your opinion on clause 30? He's saying that where we have executive chairman, we should change it to executive vice chairman in order to allow for...
I think it's a typo. It's an error from...
Well, that's why I say let us note.
So
let us note. Wherever we come across this, let us
please use your mic.
Executive vice chairman of the service shall.
So why don't you just move a motion?
Sir?
Why don't you move a blanket motion? That wherever we see mutantes.
Sir, so long.
Your mic.
So long as it is for the executives, because we have chairman of the board, we have executive vice chairman, who are in the executive, and this one is on the board. So wherever we see executive chairman, we should be executive vice chairman. That's what I'm saying. So we can move a motion.
You can move the motion that wherever we see executive, and the next word that follows is chairman, that it should actually be changed to executive vice chairman.
Exactly, sir.
So he can go.
Mr. President, let me make is the way the bill was before the amendment. If you look at our recommendations, and you look at the interpretation and the definition, okay, I will want to move a motion that anywhere you see chairman should be changed to executive, anywhere you see executive chairman should be changed to executive vice chairman. And that is only in the recommendation part. Motandis, Motandi. Thank you, Your Excellency. Motandis, Motanda.
Yes, but it's still good to, you see, it is better to err on the part of surplusage. As I speak, it is already in the interpretation clause. But there's nothing wrong, putting it here, because otherwise we cause confusion. Senator Jim Ibrahim, you may wish to second that motion that wherever we see the word executive and chairman follows should actually be executive vice chairman. And mutatis mutandis.
Jimo Ibrahim, representing Ondo South from Ondo State, do rise to support the motion ably moved by the committee chairman of finance, that's Senator Sani Musa, that wherever we see the word chairman should lead the word vice chairman accordingly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Distinguished colleagues, thank you. So we now look at clauses 31 to 41.
Yes.
Yes, Senator.
Yes, sir.
Senator Mongono.
31-3. My name is Mohamed Tahir Mongono. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. What my concern is in 31-3 that in any legal proceeding under this bill or any of the laws authorized by the service, any act or thing done by the service or the board under any of the laws referred to in sub-clause 2 shall not be subject to challenge on the ground that such act or thing done was not proved to be in accordance with any direction given by the minister.
Don't go there. It already shows that whoever inserted this clause is planning to fight with the minister.
Yes, and it borders on Oster clause.
Yes,
and we are not in the military government where we host the jurisdiction of
we can't do that.
The courts.
We cannot.
It's draconian and obnoxious.
It's draconian, obnoxious, and self-serving.
Yes, sir. So we should expand that aspect of the provision.
Those in support that we explain, those against say nay. The ayes have it. This provision infringes on the fundamental human rights of individuals. You cannot oust the jurisdiction of the court, neither can you oust somebody from challenging an action undertaken by anybody, and you cannot use the law to deem that action to be a representation of the approval of a minister, whether the minister approves or not. It doesn't make sense. So that is why it's important we look at these things. Come the clerk. Did you get it? It's totally obnoxious. So 31.3 is hereby deleted.
I just wanted to know what is contained in the original provision. But that's not the case. The case is that the entirety of it is gone.
Gone.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Give written directions to the service on general policy matters, and the service shall comply with such directions. So this is obnoxious. There is a board of directors who are supposed to formulate policies for the board. There's a chairman, there are non-executive directors and executive directors who are supposed to formulate policies.
We don't have an executive chairman any longer.
No.
That is why here it says in consultation with the executive chairman, and what we have is executive vice chairman.
But how can the minister give him directives on policy matters? I think the right thing is for the board to take a decision, and then if there's any controversy beyond the board, then the minister is informed, and the minister maybe takes it to the council. But if the minister should go and act as the executive chairman, because he's like acting as the executive chairman, in any organization where there's management, there is a board. The board and members of directors of the board are the people that formulate policies.
No, it's in this case, the minister is a monetary policies, and that's why even currently we call it coordinating minister of the economy. So the minister can, from time to time, give directives on policy, on general policy direction to the board, and can also give directive to management through the executive vice chairman. If you look at 2, it said the minister shall not give any direction in respect of any particular person, which would have the effect of requiring the service to increase or decrease any assessment of tax made or to be made, or any relief given or to be given, or to defer the collection of any tax or judgment debt due. It has already restricted the minister. It has restricted the minister, so I think the only thing we need to do there is just to put the word executive vice chairman. I hope the chairman of finance, you have to tidy this document in line with the amendments being made here now for the benefit of the secretariat. The secretariat will also try its best, but you who understands it more should take part in making sure that you tidy it, and then copies must be resubmitted to all distinguished senators. Is that the view of the Senate? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So these things will be taken care of, because the introduction of the word executive vice chairman has changed the nomenclature, has changed everything that was inside. So we take it that 31 to 41 is carried. Those in support of the Senator Dan Kwambo. Former
29, sir. I support that we keep the existing section instead of the amended, where a warrant issued by the executive vice chairman, approved by the minister, is also subjected to another approval by the National Assembly. That will cause a lot of delay, and that will not have any effect on the finances. So we retain the existing section.
Was the vice chairman?
Mr. President, anywhere you see appropriation you have met, you said you are taking away.
Your mic.
Mr. President, what I'm saying to clarify this, the reason why we put the National Assembly is because we are giving a new authority to the minister, based on the recommendation from the executive vice chairman, to the minister, that Accountant General can deduct directly from MDS. So we said, since it is a budgeted financing from the appropriation, we will also want that to come back to the National Assembly, because anything that has been appropriated, we are oversighting it. So how do we know? By the time you go to an agency, the agency will tell you they were not able to do anything because their money have been taken. So what do you do about that? If there's any solution, we will adopt it.
Today we are in the National Assembly. What is certain is that tomorrow we will not be here, but this institution will be here. I believe that in all our conversation earlier, we emphasized the need to leave this business in the affairs of competent, qualified people. That means we are trying to divorce the system from politics as much as possible. Now, when this has gone through all the relevant agencies, manned by people who are competent as provided for under the law, with profound respect, I do not think that the fact that National Assembly has oversight responsibility, that we should now become an approving authority. Let me finish. Therefore, I agree absolutely with the sentiment expressed by Senator Dakwambo. I think that what should give us comfort is the fact that, stated or not, anything done by anyone spending or appropriating public funds, this National Assembly has a natural oversight responsibility. That does not mean we should be consulted first before certain things are done, so that we avoid delays such that may turn out to hurt all of us. So that's why I think that Dakwabo, given his background, is being a Secretary General of the Federation, and he understands the issues, and in all of this, time is of the essence. Whatever I delay today, when it becomes damaging, I don't see why the National Assembly to get away approval of certain matters. I think we should just divorce ourselves. Without this, can someone, anyone, who is appropriated, who is applied, is subject to powers. Thank you, Mr. President.
What Senator Dankwambo is saying is that it will lead to a lot of bottlenecks. That where the minister has given a warrant to the executive vice chairman to go ahead and deduct money from agencies and all that, that's an executive function. And to subject that to the approval of the committee of the Senate means even to deny the Senate and the House of Representatives the opportunity to undertake the oversight. It's going to take long, because it's not only a committee of the Senate that will be required, it will be National Assembly. And so to subject it to National Assembly, that is House of Representatives and the Senate, the process will become nebulous and cumbersome. So I think we should, Distinguished Chairman, you should.
I concur.
Agree with that Kwabo's position.
He's about to agree with you.
I agree with on this. When Mr. Distinguished Senator Oshomole is making his remark, he said it's always good to give to competent people. I'm a professional. I'm in the field also, financial. So I know what I am doing. So if it is referred that for those that have done this, we have looked at it carefully. And the area that we were only trying to protect is a situation where any budgeted, any fund that has been appropriated by the National Assembly to an agency cannot just be taken. That is all. But if the Senate, in their wisdom, feel this is the right thing, so be it.
The difference, they will go and just take money from an agency without reason. We have all been chief executives one way or the other. So there may be constraint. For instance, you may be under pressure to settle a judgment debt. And the only way you can do it to avoid your properties being forfeited is to take money from anywhere you can see it immediately. Outside that, you have to go for loan. So if that is done, it's left to us to go and oversight and find out whether they can return the money or they cannot return the money what was the deduction used for. You understand? I don't think it will be done out of context of probity and accountability. So, but if we have to approve that action, we are going to move in circle. So I think we should go with Dan Kwambo. Distinguished Senator Dan Kwambo. Distinguished Senator Dan Kwambo. Now formally move a motion for the amendment of that section. Move a motion for the amendment of that section.
Okay, sir. Your Excellency, I, Senator, that Section 39 be retained as it is. I so moved. The Accountant General of the Federation shall, not later than 30 days of receiving a warrant endorsed by the Executive Vice Chairman of the service and approved by a judicial officer in accordance with the third schedule of the bill, deduct a remitted revenue due from any ministry, department, agency, or government from its budgetary allocation or such other money accruing to it, and shall remit the deductions to the service.
In other words, the new recommendation is rejected.
Yes.
Yes, Distinguished Senator Oshimole.
Mr. President, my name is Adam Oshimole.
Colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the Senate do retain the original provisions of Section 39 and reject the proposed amendment. Those in support that we retain the original provisions say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Section 40-41. Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. 42, which is on page 40. The Nigeria Tax Administration Bill 2025. A bill to enact.
Mr. President, Senior Chair, my colleagues, starting long title of the bill, an act to provide for the assessment, collection of, and accounting for revenue accruing to the Federation, federal, states, and local governments, prescribe the powers and functions of tax authorities, and for related matters, SB 585. Mr. President, I have a very serious concern, particularly when you go deeper into the provisions of this particular bill at clauses 87 downwards, where it is clearly intended that we make laws for states and local governments. This is against the Constitution. We don't have powers to make laws for states and local governments. So we may, Mr. President, go into this and look at it more dispassionately.
What section tells you that we don't have powers to make laws for states and local governments? Because what I know legally by the Constitution is that any law that is enacted by a state or a bylaw by the local government, which is inconsistent with an act of parliament at the national level, is null and void to the extent of that inconsistency.
Mr. President, you don't make laws for states. That's why you have state houses of assembly.
No, we do. We make laws for states. Where the states make laws, and there's an act of parliament where you have an exclusive legislative list, then you have the concurrent legislative list. Where there is concurrent legislative list, in other words, the state can make law, and the federal government can also make law on the same subject matter. the one that is made by the federal government, that is the National Assembly, the one done by the state, if there is inconsistency, the one by the federal government stands, and the one done by the state is immediately null and void to the extent of that inconsistency.
Well, I stand to be corrected, Mr. President.
Yes.
I maintain my position.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to inform that this particular provisions that the governor was trying to cut took about 3 days. In fact, we had to stand it down. I invite reputable legal minds in this country. And of course, the SAN, our own SAN, was there, and this matter was discussed. And that it was agreed in total that we can do legislation for Nigeria, which includes the subnationals. So I'm not sure whether, I don't know the problem that Senator Tambo has on this part, in regard to this particular aspect. Also, you recall that we sat here and do ICPC and do EFCC, and the state was not comfortable, and they took this matter to court. And the Supreme Court said, no, the National Assembly has powers to do laws, regardless of the subnationals. So I think we are comfortable here, unless there are other legal minds that will say constitutionally we cannot, but the court, the Supreme Court said we can, and I think we should.
I wish you had also consulted me as a ranking legal mind. From my head alone, I know that we can make laws that will bind the states and local governments. If there are areas we cannot, the Constitution will separate those areas. But on areas of there are exceptions. On areas of concurrent jurisdiction, Leader. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. The powers of the National Assembly are stated in the second schedule, Part 1, exclusive legislative list. And subsection 59 says we have powers to make laws for taxation of incomes, profits, capital gains, except otherwise prescribed by this Constitution. We need to understand that what we are doing here is a bill for taxation. If we go to the latter part of the bill, in fact, we debated it, as Senator Nigi said, where we were trying to create state revenue services. We said we couldn't do so, but we expunged those sections and kept the one that deals with taxation, administration of taxation, which is what this bill deals with. So, with respect to Senator Tabua, I think he's wrong to say that we don't have the powers. Thank you very much.
And constitutional point of order, section 162 of the Constitution. With your permission, Mr. President, I read, the Federation shall maintain a special account to be called the Federation account, into which shall be paid all revenues collected by the government of the Federation, except the proceeds from the personal income tax of the personnel of the armed forces of the Federation, the Nigerian Police Force, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or Department of Government charged with the responsibility. Constitutional point of order, section 162 of the Constitution. With your permission, Mr. President, I read, the Federation shall maintain a special account to be called the Federation account, into which shall be paid all revenues collected by the government of the Federation, except the proceeds from the personal income tax of the personnel of the armed forces
of the Federation, the Nigerian Police Force, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or Department of Government charged with the responsibility for foreign affairs, and the residents of the Federal Capital Territory. So these taxes, we cannot make law for the collection of taxes mentioned in this section because they belong to FCT. And even pay as you earn, we cannot make law for the collection of pay as you earn. It's entirely the responsibility of the State Internal Revenue Service. Thank you.
Thank you. That doesn't need argument. But let's make progress. When we get to that particular section, you can say something. Okay? So, clause 1. Those in support of clause 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6. All that we Sani Musa, Senator Sani Musa,
that houses the headquarters, and we agreed, and that's why I've been running up and down, conferring with my distinguished chairman of this committee. So may we have clearer direction, Mr. President, as to where that provision or clause is, because I can't find it, and if it is not there, then this is an opportunity for us to insert it after section 36, so that we can put a clause that in the case of computation of oil, the taxes deductible and payable by all sector workers operating outside their headquarters, that those tax revenues be computed and paid to the states where the facilities are domiciled. So I seek that clarification, Mr. President. Thank you.
It's as you earn. It will be paid by the worker where he works. It is not that you go and work in Borno and then your headquarters is in Sokoto, or even a construction worker. You are doing work in Borno, you are resident in Borno, and then you go and pay tax to Sokoto. No.
Observation.
It's been dealt with. It's paying.
Observation.
It was in the past.
Observation,
that was
sir.
in the past. Now, under this...
Mr. Senate President, can I reply that? Can I reply that, sir? Mr. Senate,
reflect on. We can't make two sets of laws on pay as you earn. There are people working in FCT, but they live in Nasarawa State. There are people who work in Lagos, Mr. President, and they live in Ogun State. The logic of pay as you earn, my brother, is that you pay based on your residence, not where your office is. Because it is in your residence that your family, your children will attend public schools and any of those services provided by state government. The purpose of tax is to address the social needs of human beings. And so, if you tamper with this,
Use your mic. Use your mic.
Sir?
Your mic was not working.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I think you gave me the floor. The issue here raised by Senator Dixon.
No, but let's go to the clause.
There is nothing offending in this bill because we have the State Inland Revenue Service. They are to find out where the residence is and they go there and collect the tax. It is not this bill. It's okay the way it is.
Let me explain.
And it's residency requirements that is no. The argument does not offend this very bill as it is.
We are on clause by clause consideration.
Yes, I'm making contribution to what
Senator Tambuwa.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm coming. He has answered this question in section 87 by showing that how do you call it? The Joint Revenue Service cannot make laws for the collection of state taxes. And so this act provides for creation of state revenue service by the states. It's already there. So the states will create their own revenue service. And so it is not the federal government that will collect taxes for states. So that answers your question. It's there. They have made that recommendation. So when we go there, we put it properly for better understanding. And what you were saying was a situation whereby somebody is working in your state and paying tax in another state. We must correct it because it has been part of the agitations that the Niger Delta people have been complaining about. Yes.
Point of order. Mr. President, on bill in the committee of the whole of the Senate, the chairman of the committee shall call the number of each clause in succession, or the first and the last number of a group of clauses, and if no amendment be offered thereto, or when all proposed amendments shall have been disposed of, shall proceed to put the question that the clause or the clause as amended stand part of the bill. Mr. President, as we know, we all know this. Mr. Chairman, we all know this process. You will be calling clause by clause, we're going clause by clause. If anybody has an amendment, such person will raise up his hand, and the chairman will now allow him to move that amendment, and the question will be put. So it's not time for debate. Otherwise, we'll remain here till tomorrow. It's a procedure. Mr. Chairman, please guide the Senate so that we follow the normal procedure. Mr. Chairman.
You have the DSP. I had mentioned clauses 46 to 60. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Now I know you are tired. So clauses 61 to 75.
Laws on certain matters for the state house, for the state government. Clause 87 is talking about establishment of the state internal revenue service.
It's an observation. Sorry. I observed that members of the finance committee that worked on this bill. So this is the time that he should be listening to us. If there is an amendment, you go and reflect it. But not the time for you to consult with members of your committee. But if all members of your committee are coming to you, you wouldn't have time to listen to the observations of the Senate. Please continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. State internal revenue services for states with their functions, with their management, structures for state revenue services. Can we, under the Constitution, Mr. Chairman, I have my concern?
We cannot. Yes.
Expunge. They are expunged.
Okay. So please move a motion, Senator.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
before we do that.
No, use your. It's my candid opinion. Houses or assemblies.
We all agree.
Huh?
But no.
We are taking over the jobs of state houses or assemblies, and we can only do so when they have crisis. But right now they don't have crisis. By Section 11 of the Constitution, it gives us the power to take over the functions of the houses or assemblies where they are unable to do so. But right now we don't have that situation, so we cannot make a law here for closing the ability of the houses.
Let's look at the content, sir. Before we throw it out, let's read the content of what is in this bill first.
Let's read the content. That section says that without prejudice to the powers of the state governments with respect to administration of income tax of individuals pay as you earn, stamp duties, each state may establish a state internal revenue service. That's what it says.
They have already.
You can say that it's superfluous, but I mean, it does not delegate on the powers of the state.
Sorry, the proposition that states should be allowed to create their own revenue service as recommended in section 87 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the entirety of those provisions that allow the National Assembly to make to create state revenue service, those provisions are hereby expunged. Expunged. And so please, Senator Tambua, move a motion and mention the areas that should be expunged.
My distinguished colleagues, having been established that it will be superfluous for us to pass these provisions as contained in clauses 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and 99, I hereby move that all of this be expunged from the bill.
Any seconder? 98, because I think section 99 is about creation of executive chairman.
Yes. Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Which we have to discuss.
Yes, 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 yes.
So the motion has been moved and seconded that we expunge from clauses 87 all the way to clause 98. Those in support that those areas be expunged say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So 87 to 98 hereby expunged. Now let's look at clause 99. No, just clause 99. Clause 99 says, executive chairman. The powers and duties which are conferred on the executive chairman of the relevant tax authority by this bill and other tax laws shall be exercised by the executive chairman or by such other persons authorized to exercise such power. Is there anybody who may wish, chairman, you want to move a motion that this be changed from executive chairman to executive vice chairman to exercise the powers of all the tax bills? It was there, but it's important for clarity. I'm saying it's better to err on the part of surplusage. Section 99.
Mr. President, my executive chairman, from section 99 and onward should be changed to executive vice chairman.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the section 99 has been amended to, instead of executive chairman, it says executive vice chairman mutatis mutandis. Those in support that we proceed with we approve section 99 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Section 100. There was a particular law we made here. When they got to the House of Reps, it was changed. 3% on the Port Authority, 3% on this. So we said we don't want to touch the finances of the Federation or that of the President. So we should just allow only one source of financing. But we use the word mutatis mutandis. So unfortunately, some of the development commissions were still looking at mineral resources gold reserve. so without using that word, mutatis. So your observation is sustained.
And I don't think that clause should also remain here. We passed that, but we need to be very careful so that we don't do something that, because it says so. It says, may I read, sir? Executive chairman and other officials of the relevant tax authority.
Of the relevant
tax authority. The powers and duties which are conferred on the executive chairman of the relevant tax authority by this bill and other tax laws shall be exercised by the executive chairman or by such other person authorized to exercise such powers. I think it still also affects the states.
How? Did they mention states?
Well, chap, don't you think so?
Tax board bill, which we are going to also consider. So if
it's talking about the generality of the bills.
It should remain.
It should remain.
We are talking about that. I don't quite understand why we have to, in a law, stipulate what a local government should do with the monies that they get. I thought that once we legislate the broad terms of distribution of VAT, that is okay for us. Not to go down to determine what they do and where they how do they apply it based on what we are creating confusion. That's my worry. So we need to understand it properly. If there is sufficient basis that will not create crisis, we can. But I think as it is, it will create a lot of crisis.
Your observation is noted, but it's a federal tax. All we are talking about is that it shall be distributed up to the local government level. In fact, if we had our way, we would have said it should be distributed up to every household in Nigeria. That is why this distribution is listed. It has nothing to do with you don't just you don't give money to a local government that is VAT from federal government without telling them what to do with it. Otherwise, they can use it for training and retraining of their staff without using it for development. That is why this distribution is important. So the objection is noted, but rejected.
Before we, fundamental, on page 85, last paragraph, for the purpose of distributing VAT revenue among the states, place of consumption means the location of the consumer at the point of supply, no off.
At the point?
No, just of supply. At the point of supply,
typo.
OF. Just that.
Noted.
Please, thank you.
The clerk.
There's a difference between, and VAT is a consumption tax.
You're right.
And it is based on consumption.
So
whatever we are doing, so it should be point on consumption.
Move a motion to change it from supply to consumption.
Yes.
We want to a little bit draw caution before we go ahead and consider the position of my brother. And I want you to analyze what they want. Because the basis of sharing this VAT, this thing, which is one of the major issues of this bill, this is where we are. If it's at the point of consumption, okay, no problem.
The chairman,
just like excess of goods.
Chairman, Committee on Finance, please move now. No, let the chairman move.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, we have defined what VAT is. We said VAT is a consumption tax. and we all agreed that BAT will be shared based on consumption. So I want to move a motion here because it's something that the even Forum of Governors agreed on this. I want to move a motion for the purposes of distributing VAT revenue among the states. Place of consumption means the location of the consumer at the point of consumption and not supply. Yeah, that is what is in the interpretation.
Cons, the motion that has been so ably moved by my able chairman. I say
aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we change it from point of supply to point of consumption.
Constitution that has because that inherent status in our hierarchy of laws. This is a legislation like any other legislation. That it is a taxation bill does not mean we should elevate it to enjoy the same status of a constitution, of the ground norm. So I'm not convinced that this section 147 adds anything useful even to the bill, because whether it is there or not, if there is a challenge, the courts will do their work. So I humbly move that we, with all due respect, expunge it in its totality. I so move.
I didn't get what Senator Dixon said very well. Senator Dixon? Huh? One.
By unanimous agreement and by your permission, may I move that section 147 be expunged. I so move.
Yes, Senator Tambua.
Mr. Chairman, has moved by Senator Dixon that section 147 be expunged.
Finance. Chairman of Finance, a motion has been moved and seconded that section 147 is in conflict with the Nigerian Constitution. That it says, the Nigerian Constitution says that every law made that conflicts with the provisions of the Constitution is null and void. The committee actually says so. The remark of the committee says so. The remark of the committee says so. So those in support that this section be expunged, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. It's already there. It's already there. You did the right thing. The committee did the right thing. But why did they repeat it? If it's already, they should have just expunged it before bringing it back to us. You understand? It was already not necessary to put it back inside the bill, since you realized it was in conflict with the Constitution. And anyway, interpretation clause 149. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Short title clause 150. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedule and prescribe powers and functions of tax authorities and for related matters, SB 585. Those in support that this bill be approved as amended say aye. Those against say nay. So for the tax, the ayes have it. the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, both are hereby approved. Let me thank the committee chairman and members and thank the entire Senate for painstakingly going through this clause by clause to ensure that what we pass is left for posterity to enjoy and to avoid conflict in lawmaking. I want to also state clearly that if there is any provision that we have missed out, it will be corrected by the judiciary if anybody challenges it. We can do both the work of the judiciary and the work of the legislature. To call attention to my parting words, it is the work of Parliament to enact laws. It is the work of the judiciary to interpret the laws. So let us not sit down here after we have finished enacting a clause or enacting the law. We now try to interpret it. Then we are taking over the job of the judiciary. So I want to thank you for the approval, and I want the Senate leader to now move that we revert to plenary to report progress. For progress, it means he's feeling guilty that he has not been reporting progress. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 79 as recommended. 80 to 81 as recommended. As amended, rather. 80 to 81 as amended. 82 to 86 as recommended. 87 to 98 as deleted. 99 as amended. Clauses 100 to 146 as recommended. Clause 147 as deleted. Clause 148 as recommended. Interpretation clause 149 as recommended. Short title clause 150 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 5 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, we go to the second bill. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clauses 1 to 21 as recommended. Clause 22 as amended. Clauses 23 to 30 as recommended. Clause 31 as amended. Clauses 32 to 38 as recommended. Clause 39 as amended. Clause 41 as recommended. Interpretation clause 42 as recommended. Short title clause 43 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate. You may wish to move a motion that the two tax reform bills be now read the third time.
Thank you, Mr. President, and very distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the bill be now read the third time. I so move, Mr. President.
The two bills.
The two bills be now read the third time. I so move.
I hereby invite the clerk of the Senate. No, the minority leader, you need to second this motion. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Joint Revenue Board, the Tax Appeal Tribunal. No. I take that again. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Services Establishment Act number 13 of 2007 and enact the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Act to establish the Nigeria Revenue Service charged with powers of assessment, collection of, and accounting for revenue accruing to the government of the Federation and for related matters 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the assessment, collection of, and accounting for revenue accruing to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the states and local governments prescribe the powers and functions of tax authorities and for related matters, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act number 13, 2007, and then enact the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Act to establish the Nigeria Revenue Service charged with the powers of assessment, collection of, and accounting for revenue accruing to the government of the Federation and for related matters 2025, third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the assessment, collection of, and accounting for revenue accruing to the Federation, federal, states, and local governments, prescribe the powers and functions of tax authorities, and for related matters 2025, third reading taken and passed. Let me thank the chairman and members of the Finance Committee and related committees, including the consultants and also the elders special committee of the Senate and all distinguished senators that worked on these two bills that have now passed third reading. And also pray that these bills will revolutionize tax collection distribution in Nigeria. I thank your patriotic zeal and determination that from morning till past 5 in the evening, you have sacrificed so much to ensure that you dot the I's and cross the T's and amend where necessary to have a document that can withstand the test of time and work for the whole Nigeria. Today, you have dispelled rumors that these tax reform bills were meant to save any section of Nigeria or any group of persons. You have shown that these tax reform bills are actually meant for the collective good of all Nigerians to reform our tax administration, tax collection, tax distribution, and add value to governance in Nigeria. So I thank all of you, and I pray that God Almighty will take you back safely and protect you. Can we say amen? Now, for tomorrow, the production of the votes and proceedings for these two bills will take time. And then, of course, we also expect that we will complete the other two outstanding bills tomorrow. And we will go through the same process. Even if we have to stay till 10 p.m., we must make sure that what is worth doing is done well. So tomorrow we will start. We adjourn because of the need to produce the votes and proceedings. Those have to be ready for you. So they have to work throughout the night, and it's extremely voluminous. And the paperwork. So we'll be starting tomorrow by 12 noon. We will not start very early because we can come and they are not ready. But Clerk of the Senate, do your best to make sure that by 12 noon tomorrow, the votes and proceedings of these two bills are ready. And then we'll take on the rest. So the Senate is accordingly adjourned to the 8th day of May 2025 at 12 noon prompt. Yes? Yes? Yes, that is being done now. That is being done right now. As you are stepping out now, you pick the two bills.